What's going on, guys? It's Rob from Heroes Avenue, back from my relatively spontaneous trip to Seattle. Had a great time. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm ready to talk some Shazam and bring you guys some news regarding the movie. Should have had the Shazam spoiler discussion out on Friday, but because there was something wrong with the audio, I couldn't post it, so I'm going to do that in this video. So just to let you know, there are going to be some spoilers towards the end of the video when we do our discussion portion, but let's first talk about some of the news regarding this movie, and let's talk about its opening weekend. So Shazam made $53.5 million domestically this opening weekend. That's not including the 2-week early preview screenings. If you do want to include those preview screenings, it made $56.8 million according to Variety, and in total worldwide it made $158.6 million. Now this still ranks, at least the domestic box office opening weekend still ranks the lowest out of all the DCEU movies, but you got to take into consideration that it is on a relatively low budget of anywhere from $80 to $90 million. So it is a lower budget superhero movie. Not that it looks low budget and not that the quality isn't great, because again, I'm not hiding the fact that I absolutely love this movie. We're going to talk more about it in a second, but you got to take that into consideration, along with the fact that while you may be really familiar with the character of Shazam leading up to the movie, maybe you did some research, maybe you read the comics, maybe you've been reading the comics, but a lot of people don't really know this character as a whole. And you might say that a lot of people didn't know the other Captain Marvel, the second Captain Marvel on the Marvel side of things, but you got to think that Marvel has had this train rolling for such a long time. They sandwiched the Captain Marvel movie in between Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, so it was just a brilliant marketing strategy. And the DCEU, or the worlds of DC, is still finding its footing and finally getting in the good graces of the general audience as a whole. You know, Aquaman made $1 billion at the box office, which was a great triumph for the DCEU, and it just let us know that we're headed in the right direction here. And this movie is doing incredible with the critics. So you know, taking this box office into consideration, I think it made more money than anticipated. I think originally it was slated for around $45 million opening, but it looks like it exceeded it by a little bit. And hopefully that these early screenings are helping it propel by word of mouth, and hopefully that it doesn't have a huge second week drop. We do know Hellboy is coming out I think the Hellboy is coming out this weekend. I'm gonna be watching that, but I am gonna try to watch Shazam a second time, and hopefully from people like me, maybe people like you who love the movie, are talking about it so much that they're gonna get more people to the theaters. But a question to pose to you guys is, did sharing the movie, or did showing the movie 2 weeks early, did it actually hurt the movie? That was a question I've been pondering, especially because Aquaman previewed the movie early to fans 1 week early, and the movie was already out internationally. So 1 week early, with all the positive buzz, that helped propel fans like myself to talk about it amongst my coworkers and friends and family, to tell them how much I loved it. But 2 weeks early, I'm wondering, did this enthusiasm die down between you know, the fans and the fans who are diehard fans of the material? Did the enthusiasm die down? So initially I came out of the theater absolutely loving it, telling everyone about it, but 2 weeks later, a lot of people, you know, things are moving fast in people's lives. Did they already forget about how good the movie is and how much people loved it? I don't know. That might be a really good question to consider. So that's the question for you guys. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Let's move on to the second topic, and that has to do with Black Adam. And of course, some of you guys I know are not fans of having The Rock play Black Adam, but it's already set and done. So once you've come to the realization that this is going to happen, you might be able to move forward with this. I've accepted it a long time ago that The Rock is going to play Black Adam, and while I love The Rock, never been the biggest fan of his acting abilities or his movies, though he is getting better. So I am really excited. You know, I think he himself has been incredibly excited for this movie for a long time. I can't remember when he was announced, but it's a long time coming. So I can't wait to see Black Adam finally realized on screen. Can't wait to see him share the screen with Shazam. So The Rock went on social media this past weekend and even this morning to kind of share his thoughts. And I'm just going to read you guys off some quotes from what he said. So he says, Black Adam is an anti-hero or a villain who I cannot wait to play. I've been developing this and it's been in my DNA for over 10 years now. We should start shooting that in about a year. So quick comments on what he has to say here. We are not far off from finally seeing the Black Adam on screen. I think that is really incredible. Cannot wait to see what kind of story we have, in store for us. I did a video on what the potential script might be about maybe 4 or 5 videos ago. So it sounds pretty interesting. We might get Hawkman in the movie, so it sounds pretty interesting if those rumors are to be believed. So we only got a year to wait before they start announcing things and casting people for this movie, so that's exciting. He also says, I can't wait to play Black Adam because they are all getting their ass kicked when I play Black Adam. The day of reckoning is coming for everyone. And then to another quote, he says, the best part about Shazam is the audience reactions and scores. You, the audience, the people, have given us A's across the board around the world. I always say I got one boss, and that's you. The people, the audience. And my main object, myself and Shazam Box Productions, is always to think of audiences first and make sure that you guys are thoroughly entertained, and you were, and again, I couldn't be more grateful. So this is The Rock. He is a producer on this movie Shazam, and he's happy about the positivity surrounding this movie. Hopefully it does even better than we expect at the box office at the end of its run. We know Avengers Endgame's coming later this month. Hellboy's coming soon as well. And so him being so enthusiastic about this makes me really excited. There is his manager, who is also his ex-wife. Another client of them is Henry Cavill, and if she's representing Henry Cavill and this movie is doing incredibly well, hopefully we get some news about Henry Cavill reprising the role once again. Now officially he's never left, but there is a lot of negativity surrounding this certain topic. But given that they seem to be close, we got that image of them too maybe a year or so ago, talking about Black Adam. Henry Cavill still talks about Superman a lot, and hopefully we get a second chance at getting Henry Cavill back to do a Man of Steel 2 and maybe a Shazam cameo, and then we'll talk about more of that in just a second. So let me know what you guys think about Dwayne Johnson's comments, The Rock's comments on playing Black Adam. It's coming. It's going to be a reality soon, so that's super exciting. But now let's go ahead and get into our spoiler discussion of Shazam. So again, last chance, there's going to be some spoilers for those of you who have not yet watched Shazam. Click off now, but let's begin. So I'm just going to do this more of a discussion style because there's so many spoiler videos out by now. I'm a little late on this. So I'm just going to talk freely about this. And so overall, if you guys watch my spoiler-free review, I thought this movie was incredible. The only real negative thing I had to say about it was the CGI in certain moments of the movie. And even in that wonky CGI in certain moments, it didn't throw me out of the movie too much, and I was able to look past it relatively quickly. So that was one of the only gripes I had about this movie. Overall, this movie had comedy, and it had a great balance of comedy and heart. So you really fell for these characters, especially the Shazam family, the cast. They had great chemistry, especially between Freddy and Shazam himself. It was, it was something that you could feel come in pouring off the screen, and you felt like these were your friends as well. It had a great coming of age message, a message about family, which is always great, and it just really matches the tone of the character. It's something we needed. It's a gap that we haven't had filled in superhero movies, this type of feeling in a story. It had horror elements, of course, with David F. Sandberg as a director and his background in horror. That was not surprising. It was actually refreshing and something we've seen in other DCEU movies like Aquaman and James Wan. So that was great. So overall, absolutely love this movie. Something that I can see again and again. Something you can take your kids to. You know, I know some people thought the trailers and the comedy in the trailers was a little corny, but I think in context it really does work. And there are really some adult jokes in this movie as well. Adult jokes, especially my favorite recurring joke was the aspect with the strip club. You know, so there's a few times that strip club is joked around about in the movie, and I thought it worked really well. I was dying on those scenes for sure. So let's talk about my favorite moments and aspects of the movie. So first of all, I gotta mention Mark Strong as Dr. Sivana. Perfect casting. Mark Strong is incredible. You know, we didn't get to see him realize his full potential as Sinestro in the 2011 Green Lantern movie, but he came back with a vengeance in this role. He was kind of a one-note villain, but I think a one-note villain that worked for this type of movie. I definitely loved his backstory. David S. Sandberg introducing us to the magic world through him in the beginning. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to see it told in that way, especially because sometimes in the comic panels, you know, it's so very vague and quick. And you get little dialogue boxes that give you background into it, but seeing it visually was great. Seeing him in his car argue with his dad, transported to the Rock of Eternity was incredible. I loved seeing that aspect, and it gave us a quick little backstory into why he is so intent on finding it and him eventually becoming the enemy of Shazam in this movie. So I thought that was great. I thought that was something really refreshing. If you agreed with me, you know, I know some people's comments and made videos about how they didn't like that type of introduction. It felt kind of really childish, but I thought it was great. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this movie was the introduction to the Shazam family, and of course this movie is heavily focused on the aspect of family and belonging, and I thought it was great. Even though not a lot of these characters had a ton of screen time, of course Freddy had the most screen time out of anybody, I think it was they did a great job of giving us a little bit of everyone, enough for us to feel like we know them and we're a part of this family. And especially got to shout out Darla. She was so cute, and everybody I talked to absolutely loved her. There were some funny moments with each character, you know. With Pedro, the moment where he gets first introduced to Billy, you know, he's talking about how he wants, I think Darla talks about how he wants to make some gains, and he just like gives him a little head nod. I thought that was funny. Eugene had a bunch of funny moments with him doing the nunchucks, especially, and hitting himself in the head. It was super quick, but I thought it was great. Getting to see Mary, she didn't have a lot to do, but whoever the actor is, I think she's perfect for the role. Yeah, Freddy and the chemistry between himself and Asher Angel, as well as himself between Zachary Levi and Shazam, is great. This guy is a star. He's someone that I think I was looking for those scenes with Freddy in them most out of the movie. It was so very entertaining, more entertaining than the action scenes in this movie. So that really tells you something. David F. Sandberg knows how to tell the story. He didn't need the big budget money to make and tell the story of Shazam, which was great because they had to operate with a lower budget with such a character such like this, where the public's still being introduced to them. So I thought that was great. And of course, I gotta talk about the Shazam family. You know, we get to see these guys. And I talked about this in videos leading up to the movie. I warned people about spoilers. Some people were calling me crazy in the comments, and I won't name names here, but a lot of people were calling me crazy. You're gonna really believe that this family's gonna show up based on some toys? Well, yeah, I did, and I was proven correct, because the Shazam family indeed does show up. You knew that was coming, and I thought it was a great way, that foreshadowing early on with the wizard telling him to say his name. I thought that was a really great way to bring the Shazam family on board, and our theater erupted when they actually showed. I think for me, I was at the 2-week early screening, and a lot of people I don't think we're even really aware of the Shazam family in the comics, but I think just, you know, it was such a great moment that it got people erupting in cheers. We had kids in the theater as well, so that was really great. I'm hoping that audiences from now at this point on can really enjoy that moment as well, because it was really something surprising that a lot of people didn't expect, and I think it was a great payoff. And the actors who played the adult versions were great as well. And I think there's really a lot to explore with this family. Let's talk about Black Adam and the Rock of Eternity, man. The Rock of Eternity, first of all, gives us a little hint into the post-credit scenes, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But let's talk about the Rock of Eternity. I forget how to say his name. Jaimon Hansu played a great wizard Shazam. I wish he had more of a role. I wish he got more of a backstory. That was one of the things too that we didn't get enough of, but we didn't get a lot of, but we got just enough to tell the story, which was fine. And I loved how they alluded to Black Adam. He gave his power once before, and that person failed him, and the gold dust that kind of forms into the Rock's physique, I thought that was really exciting. I don't know if a lot of people picked up on who that was in my theater, but I was one of those guys who kind of cheered at the moment. I was one of the only people in the theaters who did that. So hopefully more theaters have fans who know what that is and kind of make some noise in the theaters just to let audiences know that, hey, this is a thing that's going to happen. It's a big thing. So that was great. And yeah, it really alludes to what's going to happen in the future. Along with I'll talk about the post-credit scenes right now. The Mr. Mind was actually in the Rock of Eternity. It was a caterpillar that showed up, or that you could see him entrapped in a I think it was a piece of like a glass thing. So he was trapped, and then later on, when Dr. Sivana, wrecks shop, steals the power, it allows Mr. Mind to escape. Then you see him later in the post-credit scenes. It confused a lot of people. A lot of people didn't know what that was all about. But it's crazy the direction that they're going in. They're really following the comics right now. So they're alluding to the different realms of magic, the 7 other realms of magic. And Mr. Mind is going to team up with Dr. Sivana, kind of like what's happening in the comics right now. If you guys have not yet caught up, I would say read the New 52, Jeff Johns' run of Shazam, and he seems to be continuing on in this rebirth era with Shazam. I think it's only on issue 4, so it's going to be easy to catch up. So catch up now, guys. It's a great time to do that. But yeah, that post-credit scene, not the most exciting because everyone, I think, was waiting for a Black Adam reference, but I'm excited to see where they work that in. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Superman cameo. Yes, I also talked about this in previous videos. There is a Superman cameo, but it is not Henry Cavill playing him. It is actually Zachary Levi's stunt double who dons the suit, and they shot it in kind of a comedic way, so it really worked for me and it worked for the audience. Everyone was like oohs and ahs when at the end where Freddy sits down for lunch and Shazam comes in and says he brought a friend. It's almost exactly as the description that I told you guys about in previous videos, and they don't show the face at the end, and then you could hear all the people in the theater go, oh. But the one thing, the suit had a little bit of a change to it, if I saw correctly on the screenshots that people have put online. But you could tell it wasn't Henry Cavill, and it was really sad that we didn't actually get Henry Cavill on board. But I thought it was a great Easter egg that showed that this universe is connected. What I didn't enjoy, even though I do love the John Williams Superman song, is that they didn't use the modern Hans Zimmer score. And you guys have heard me whine and complain about this little tiny thing in the past, but they did use the John Williams theme just for like 2 seconds as Superman walks into the frame where you could see his chest. I really wish they used the Hans Zimmer theme, but they didn't, and that was kind of a bummer because it looks like they're abandoning that, and hopefully they don't in the future. Who knows what the future is going to bring, but I thought this like tied everything together. This was great. You see Freddy talking about superheroes and how much he idolizes them throughout the whole movie, and then you get this little payoff at the end, and I thought that was great. And I think because I already knew what to expect, I knew that Henry Cavill wasn't going to be in it, or I didn't expect him to, it didn't disappoint me so much. But I thought this movie was absolutely great. Hit all the right notes for me, made me laugh, made me cry, not really cry, but it it really makes you go through a range of emotions, and that's something that all superhero movies don't get to do in a movies. I hit all ranges of emotions in here, and it was great. Don't need to stay for the second post-credit scene. It's something you saw in the trailers, kind of like what they did with Ant-Man, where the ant drumming. It's the Aquaman joke scene, and we saw that in the trailers. So yeah, that's what I thought about Shazam, guys. I'm sure I missed a lot of things that you guys wanted to talk about, but let's talk about it in our Sunday reading the comments video. So drop down in the comments below your favorite moments in the Shazam movie. Those were my favorite moments and favorite things that stood out. There's definitely a lot more to talk about, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Drop down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite moments are from the movie, and especially ones that I didn't talk about or I may have missed. So thank you guys for watching. Please give this video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.